What are you doing?
I'm blowing the shofar.
You're blowing the shofar. It's Hanukkah.
Yeah, it's Hanukkah. Blowing the shofar.
Okay.
Oh, hi, Cantor Lori.
Oh, Rabbi Jessica, I'm so glad you're here. We have a real problem.
What's the matter?
Well, Rabbi Dan is out there sounding the shofar.
Okay, well, that's really different. Look, I really have to run out for a minute before services. I need to get matzah.
You need to get matzah?
Yeah, I have no matzah. I'm sorry, I need to run so I can get back for services.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi, Rabbi Greg. I'm sorry to bother you, but we have a problem.
Okay, listen, Lori, I'm kind of in a bit of a hurry. I got to get to finish up at home. I got to get to temple for services. What's going on?
Rabbi Greg, you're not going to believe what's going on here.
Where are you?
Well, I just got to temple, and Rabbi Dan is out in the portico sounding the shofar, and Rabbi Jessica's out buying matzah, and I think everyone has lost their minds.
All right, Cantor Lori, I hear you. I will be there as soon as I can, but I really need to get my Haman costume on. I got to help Tammy finish making the montage. I promise I will be there as soon as I can, and I will help you, but I really need to run.
Okay, bye.
Hey, Lori, how are you?
You don't want to know. Michelle, where are you?
I'm actually walking up to the building right now. What's the matter?
I'm so glad you're here. I think the world has gone mad.
What's the matter?
Well, Rabbi Dan is out there sounding the shofar. Rabbi Jessica went out to buy matzah. Rabbi Greg is in a Haman costume and baking hamantashen. Am I nuts? But isn't it Hanukkah?
Lori, take a breath. Of course it's Hanukkah, and we're gonna kindle the lights on our amazing menorah.
Thank goodness. I need to light the lights and celebrate Hanukkah.
I agree. But more importantly, tonight, we're gonna light our inner lights. Sounding a shofar, buying matzah, eating hamantashen, those are all Jewish things that we do to light our inner lights. Just maybe not at this time of the year, but it's all okay. We're gonna stop doing whatever we're doing, and we're gonna fill our souls with the joy of Hanukkah.
You know, you're right. It has been some year, very different. But one thing I know, it's time for Hanukkah.
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 Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Send people to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Sevivon, sof, 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 Hanukkah, Buchatov, Hanukkah, Buchatov, Sevivon, sof, 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 Hasimcha Ula'am, Eskadol Hayasham, Eskadol Hayasham, Hasimcha Ula'am. Spin and turn, what a sight! The Hanukkah menorah with its gleaming light. Children play, spirits soar, Hanukkah fun and so much more. All the happy, smiling faces of the children, it is great. Families enjoy together, everybody celebrate.
I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel I shall play. Oh dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay,
המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. על הניסים ועל הפורקן ועל הגבורות ועל התשועות ועל המלחמות שעשית לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance a hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Send people to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago.
Shabbat Shalom, Chag Urim Sameach, Happy Hanukkah to everyone. It is such a joy to celebrate this Shabbat and Hanukkah with you, our Temple Bethel family, and our related larger community who we hope are joining us from wherever you are in our community or around the country or around the world on this wonderful Shabbat. Hanukkah is in many ways a paradox. It is the festival of light, and yet we celebrate at the darkest time of the year. And that's because I think there are times when our inner souls find themselves to be squelched of light. We find ourselves a little bit burned out. We find our light that is burning inside of us start to ebb. And yet then there comes a time when we are filled with what the Hasidim taught is hitlahavut, literally to be fired up, where that inner flame is burning as brightly as it can. So how do we nurture that inner light? How do we build within ourselves that light that can help us to see our way even when the world around us seems dark, even when we're not sure where to go or what to do? And that is when we turn to Hanukkah. We turn to dedication. We turn to that which our people has been dedicated toward for millennia after millennia. The principles and the virtues of decency and honesty and integrity, a commitment to the pursuit of justice balanced with compassion, the idea that we ought pursue wisdom and attain knowledge and understanding, and then fight for freedom, for goodness, with generosity and kindness, and always in pursuit of peace. If we can dedicate ourselves to these moral goods, if we can dedicate ourselves to these moral principles, then we will find within ourselves the light that will lead us exactly where we need to go, partnering with God and with each other to build the world of our dreams, to consecrate our world as sacred space where the light of God's presence will never be extinguished. And so as we turn now to the lights of Shabbat, it is my joy to invite Fran and Art Siegel to lead us in the kindling of the Shabbat lights.
Light, God's first creation, our image of hope. Hope for a world without oppression. Hope for a world without hatred and plague.
Hope for a world where each of us can see the living spark of holiness that burns within every living being. Hope for a world radiant with love, luminous with the light of God's presence. In your light do we see light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של Shabbat.
We continue now with the Kiddush led by our B'nai Mitzvah, Ryan and Michael Lieberfarb.
Wine, our symbol of joy and celebration. Help us, O God, on this holy Shabbat on Hanukkah, to give thanks for the miracles that surround us. Help us to use this festival of light to spread the light of God's presence into the darkest corners of the world and the darkest places in our spirit.
Lead us on the Shabbat of dedication to rededicate our lives to the higher and holier purposes which God has asked us to pursue. May the sweetness of the wine inspire us all to illuminate the world with the light of creation and the light of your presence.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshani b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon, chinhimanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila l'mikra'e kodesh, v'zeher v'tziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'harta, v'otanu kidashta, mikohamim, v'shabbat kodsheha, v'ahava uvratzon, hinhaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
It is said that the old shall dream dreams and the youth shall see visions. And so let us join with our teen singers and our cantors as together we sing Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is when we dwell together as one.
Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Hinei ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
We continue with the Baruch Hu. Please rise.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Do you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla la la la, 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 Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Roll night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark,
It is the darkest time of the year, a time when night seems to rule the day. But sometimes it is in the midst of the darkness that we can see the light of God's presence. In the days of the Maccabees, when the eternal light of the menorah was extinguished, our world was thrown into darkness. We wondered if we might ever see God's light again. But even in the darkness, God's light burns in our hearts. It shines in the light of our faith and the light that shines from Torah and tradition. And we are the lamps who will shine that light into the darkness, who will illumine our world with hope, with goodness, with holiness, and with life.
roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta, otanu limadta. Akein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbeinu u'kumeinu, nasiach bechukecha, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratcha, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. כי הם חייהם לאורך ימינו, ובהם נגן יומם ולילה, ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמות ישראל. Please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. home and on your way. Make your life a voice of God. Be a sculpture for the holy. Be a doorway.
The heroes of the Hanukkah story are the Maccabees. When we say the word Maccabee, we think of strength. We think of power. We think of the hammer, which is one of the ways in which the Maccabees took their name. But the Maccabees took their inspiration from the story of the Exodus. Maccabee is also an acronym for the words Mi Kamocha Ba'elim Adonai, who is like you, God, among all the powers of the universe. The Maccabees knew the strength it took for the Israelites to make their way out of Egypt, out from under the thumb of Pharaoh. When they thought of King Antiochus and what he was trying to do to our people, they summoned that same strength, that same energy, that same wonder of the power of God, who might lead them to victory as well. And so as we sing the words of Mi Chamocha this evening with that special Hanukkah melody of Ma Otsur, we channel that inspiration of the Israelites of thousands of years ago, of the Maccabees and the strength they took and needed to be the victors, the few over the many, the right over the strong. We continue now with words of Mi Chamocha.
Mi Chamocha, Ba'elim Adonai, Mi Kamocha, Nedar B'Kodesh, Norah Tehilot, U'Sefer, Norah Tehilot, U'Sefer, Adonai Imo Le'olam Va'ed. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our share. standing among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
What is the Jewish fascination with light? Light is how God's presence fills the universe. It is the energy that sparks the dawn of creation. It is the flash of insight when we discover an essential truth. It is the radiant sparkle when our eyes are filled with joy. It is the glow that radiates from nurturing bonds of love we forge with one another. In the radiance of the Shabbat candles is reflected the light of creation. In the luminescence of Shabbat is reflected God's light in our souls. We continue with the Amidah. Please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi angin tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Ha'anora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekoneh Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer, Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Hakol, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, Umorid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidom Elach, Melech Meimit Umechayem, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah Lehachayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. Many years ago in Europe, there was a nobleman who decided that he wanted to build a synagogue for his community. And so he funded the project, and it was majestic and beautiful. On the day it opened, all came to see this synagogue, and people were amazed with its beauty. But then one little girl spoke up and said, "There are no lamps. It will be dark when we come here to pray." And the nobleman said, "I designed it that way intentionally. Everyone, whenever they come, must bring their own lamp." In that very same way, in these times and truly all times, we must bring our own lamps, our own inner light from inside that makes the world brighter and a more beautiful place. We continue in silent prayer.
Many nights we've prayed with no proof anyone could hear. In our hearts a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although we know there's much to fear. We were moving mountains long before we knew we could. There can be miracles when you believe. Though hope is frail, it's hard to give. Who knows what swiftly flown away. Yet now I'm standing here with heart so full I can't explain, seeking faith and speaking words I never thought I'd say. There can be miracles when you believe, though hope is frail, it's hard to give. Who knows what miracles you can achieve? When you believe, somehow you will when you believe.
Ivy and Steve, it is with such joy that we have the opportunity during this celebration of Shabbat and Hanukkah to celebrate this milestone anniversary for you, 25 years together. Think back, Ivy, to when you first saw that name Kaufman on the back of Steve's jersey on the football field in high school, all of the years you shared together at the University of Florida as Gators, which I know is a big part of your married life together, and all of the wonderful moments that you have shared over your 25 years of marriage together. I think about what an incredible blessing it has been for me to share in your family's life and growth over these many years, not only on the soccer field together with you, Steve, but all these years that you've served as our executive director and the wonderful simchas that we have shared for your children as they have grown into their own adulthood. And so we have a very important question to ask. Steve, do you take Ivy to be your wife, promising to cherish and protect her, whether in good fortune or in adversity, and to seek together with her a life hallowed by the faith of our people Israel?
I do.
Good. And do you, Ivy, take Steve to be your husband, promising to cherish and protect him, whether in good fortune or in adversity, and to seek together with him a life hallowed by the faith of our people Israel?
I do.
Well, then you should kiss the bride. Mazel tov! Will everyone please rise?
At this time in our service, we continue with our prayers for healing. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all those in need of healing. If you have a name you would like to share for our prayers at this time, please do so. We continue with our prayers for healing. We continue with Aleinu L'Shabeach.
Aleinu L'Shabeach.
the age of 13, Hugo Grin was deported to Auschwitz with his father. It was the winter of 1944, and although we had nothing like calendars, my father, who was my fellow prisoner there, took me and some of our friends to a corner in our barracks. He announced that it was the eve of Hanukkah, produced a curious-shaped clay bowl, and began to light a wick immersed in his precious, but now melted, margarine ration. Before he could recite the blessing, I protested at this waste of food. He looked at me, then at the lamp, and finally said, "You and I have seen that it is possible to live up to 3 weeks without food. We once lived almost 3 days without water, but you cannot live properly for 3 minutes without hope." We take time now to call to mind all of those whose lives brought us joy and celebration, those who've passed recently and at this season in years past. We say of them, Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Morton Abrams, Mildred Agranow, Bernard Aronson, Rose Aronson, Pearl Bartell, Louis Berliner, Irene Bernhard, Martin Bloom, George Ballner, Janice Brand, Carol Brown, Harriet Cherry, Abraham Cohen, Gerald Cohen, Belle Cohen, Beth Corbin, Lillian Crair, Samuel L. Davis, B. Edison, Nettie Eichler, Samuel Ernay, Kelly Churgy Falk, Joseph Field, Ann Z. Friedman, Pauline Ganslow, Sarah Gerson, Bruce Gilbert, Beatrice Gimmelstab, Jeanette Glickman, Murray Goldman, Eva Sussman Goldman, Jim Gordon, Herman Hess, Lillian Himber, Edith Himmelbaum, Ted Hochstadt, Stella Hochstein Blair, Nora Isaacson, Esther Calmore, Julius Kaufman, Theodore Keats, Sybil Hart Cooper, Leonard Kovler, Lois Lee, Cindy Manoff, Phyllis Goldman Markle, Maurice William Marlin, Aaron Minkin, Sidney Murrer, Teresa Morgan, Jacob Morgenstern, Gladys Morris, Elias Nurin, Ruth Nodowitz, Frederick A. Honore, Dave Osiason, Fredolyn Pleat, Louis Pollock, Albert Rosenblum, Larry Rosenfeld, Vicki Rosenthal, Ben Rosenwater, Dr. Robert Rubin, Marilyn Rubenstein, Max Rubin, May Schenker, Stanley Schuer, Emmanuel Schindel, Michael Schneiderman, Edith Schottland, Howard Schubert, Joseph H. Schwartz, Maureen Seiden, Judith Serio, Irving Shear, Ithla Schraebman, Sadie Stern-Schulman, Ethel Silverstein, Bessie Slutsky, Mildred Sorosky, Moshe Standig, Ephraim Standig, Ovadia Standig, Faiza Standig, Hannah Standig, Hava Standig, Baruch Machel Standig, Malka Standig, Brana Standig, Milton Strent, Beatrice Goldberg Toker, Harvey Udell, Louis Weinkrantz, Pearl Werber, Joan Wiener, and those who passed recently in the last 30 days, and everyone else who we call to our hearts and minds at this moment. We continue now with the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal. Shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who sends peace from the high heavens send peace to all of us and comfort those who are bereaved, as together we say, amen.
Living in the southern part of Israel is not always easy. On occasion, when things get tense between the Palestinians in Gaza and the Israelis to the north, the Palestinians will fire Qassam rockets, weapons of terror at the innocent communities in the southern part of Israel. A blacksmith who lived in the southern part of Israel named Yaron Bab would see the husks of these Qassam rockets land in the fields and sometimes in the towns, and thought that there must be a way to take these dark weapons of war and to turn them in expressions of beauty and light. And so he created rockets to roses, in which he would take the scarred husks of the Qassam rockets and turn that metal into objects of beauty, including this Chanukiah, a model of one that was given to the President of the United States and is used in the White House. This particular one was fashioned in 2014, a gift of Mara and Michael Shapiro to our congregation. And we hope that even in this dark time, we can take inspiration from Yaron Bab and turn all the elements that lead to sadness and discord and to use the gift of Hanukkah to turn them into instruments of holiness and light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asa nisim lavoteinu ve'imoteinu bayamim ha'em b'zman
Once upon a time, well, it was 168 BCE, but let's not get stuck in the details. There lived a king named Antiochus IV. Now, the first three were pretty bad, but he was really the worst. Antiochus had a big ego.
How big was it?
Big enough that he even had a city named for him, Antioch, which is the most southern part of Turkey near the Mediterranean. Well, the city might have been named for his father, and they might have named him for the city, but either way...
Big ego.
Right. So Antiochus took his army to fight a war in Egypt. And on the way home, he passed through the land of Israel, called Judah at the time, and said,
"You know what? I like it here. Let's conquer it."
Now, Antiochus loved Greek culture. I mean, he loved the Greek stuff. He spoke Greek, he wore Greek clothes, and he worshiped the Greek gods. So he made a proclamation to all the people of Judah.
"You've got to be Greek like me. And if I catch you practicing Judaism or reading that Torah of yours, I'm going to kill you."
So the Jews who lived back then had a big problem.
The Jews, they had a big problem. If they ignored his proclamation and they continued to study Torah and practice their sacred faith, Antiochus would kill them. They couldn't just give up on what they believed, their way of life, God's moral laws and teachings.
So Antiochus made his way to Jerusalem. On the 25th day of the month of Kislev, he extinguished the menorah and dedicated the holy temple in Jerusalem to Zeus, and sent his soldiers around his newly conquered territory to make sure that everyone was following his decree. His soldiers went from place to place, bringing everyone to the center of town. One day, they arrived in the city of Modi'in.
Okay, gather round. You Jews need to prove your Greek loyalty to your Greek king and the Greek gods. So, who here is going to be the first to sacrifice this Greek pig to Apollo?
I don't know. It's all Greek to me. Sure, I'll do it.
Standing in the crowd was a local priest, Mattathias. He couldn't believe that his people would turn away from what God had commanded them. He looked on with disgust.
I'm disgusted.
With revulsion.
I'm revolted.
His eyes burned with rage.
I'm burning with rage.
So Mattathias grabbed a sword, ran forward, and killed the Jew for his treacherous idolatry. Then he turned and attacked the soldiers.
Now Mattathias had 5 sons: John, Simon, Judah, Eleazar, and Jonathan. Dad, I think we have a little bit of a problem here.
A problem?
Yeah, Dad, a little problem. I think eventually they gonna come looking for these guys.
When they don't make it home for dinner, they're going to start asking around about who did it.
And then I think they're gonna come after us.
No worries. We are strong. We are armed with faith. We are armed with confidence. We are armed with belief that we are fighting, not just for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children. We are fighting for our covenant with God. Together, there is nothing we cannot do. Oh, my boys, you make me so proud.
So Judah and his brothers fled to the hills. Antiochus rallied the armies of other lands he conquered. He paid them a year's salary in advance and told them to go out and destroy the Jewish people.
Judah, can you take a look over there for a minute?
Yeah, sure. What's up?
That's a big army.
Yeah, so?
No, Judah. That's a really big army. Like, there's a lot of them, and they're big.
I think they're bigger than us. You know what they say about the size of a man's army.
No, Jonathan. What do they say about the size of a man's army?
They usually beat smaller armies.
Yeah? Well, not this time. We're the Maccabees. We're fighting with God on our side. You know what we're fighting for? We're fighting for truth.
For truth.
We're fighting for justice.
For justice.
We're fighting for God.
For God.
We're fighting for...
All right, already. Let's just get on with it.
So Judah and his army fought with valor, and their enemies fled before them. The Maccabees fought for 4 long years, month after month of hiding in caves, not knowing where their next meal was coming from. They were getting pretty tired. Hey, look at all we've done. We've rallied town after town to join us in the fight. No one thought we had a chance. Sure, we've lost some, but we've won some. I mean, just look at them. They're nervous. They're scared. And look out over the hills. You can see the temple in the distance. We just need one more push.
All right, Judah, I'm with you. I'm in. I'm doing it for us.
I'm doing it for Mom and Dad.
Well, I'm doing it for my Kinderlech.
I'm doing it for my children's children.
Oh my God, do we have to have these big melodramatic scenes every time we have to go into battle? I mean, it's getting a bit old, don't you think? Can't we just go do it?
So in one final push, the Maccabees defeated King Antiochus and returned to Jerusalem. Quickly, they got busy purifying their holy temple. They cleaned up the altar. They swept out all the verstunkene Greek schmutz. They needed just one more thing.
We need to light the menorah. We need to restore God's light to God's house.
Quick, get some of that there oil before he gives another speech.
I only found this little bit, but I don't think it's gonna be enough.
Hey, what are you guys talking about? When we started this battle, what did we have? Faith. When we were hiding in caves, what did we have? Faith. When we went into battle, what did we have? Faith. When we stormed Jerusalem, what did we have? Faith. And each time that faith brought us through, now light that menorah.
And that all lasted not just 1 hour, but 1 day, then 2, then 3, then 4.
Then 5.
Then 6.
And then 7.
Then 8. And by then we had made enough oil so that the menorah was never extinguished.
And in the centuries that followed, there were those who rose up to extinguish not only the light of the menorah, but the light of hope and faith in the Jewish heart. But we never stopped believing, and we never lost our faith.
Oh, brother, here comes another speech.
Yeah, but you gotta admit, he's pretty good.
Over the centuries, we carried that light with us to Africa and Asia, to Europe and the Americas, to Australia, and everywhere Jews have wandered. And that light has always been a beacon of hope for us, even when all around us was dark and despair. It's been tough since last Hanukkah. So much rancor and discord, so much anger and anguish. A horrible virus that has claimed more than 1 million lives around the world, thousands in Israel and hundreds of thousands here in America. A pandemic that has disrupted the lives of so many of us, canceling celebrations like B'nai Mitzvah and weddings and graduations, keeping us from family during illness and loss. Never have we needed the light of faith and hope more than we do today. So let this Hanukkah light give us hope. Let it be a light that guides us back to a sense of unity and union. Let it be a light that inspires us to work for justice and righteousness. Let it be a light we will never let be extinguished, that gives us the faith and determination to be the best partners we can be, with each other and with God. to build a world of holiness, of love, of freedom, and of peace. Thank you so much for joining us for this special Shabbat and Hanukkah. We want to thank everyone who has helped to participate in our service, our incredible backstage crew for helping in the production. And we hope that this service and this celebration of Hanukkah will bring you the capacity to kindle your inner light. And that light will lead you not only into this dark season, but will lead us to a world filled with promise and light, hope and peace. Shabbat Shalom. Happy Hanukkah.
I am so mixed up that I cannot tell you. I'm sitting in this blender turning brown. I've made friends with the onions and the flour, and the cook is scouting oil in the town. I sit here wondering what will come of me. I can't be eaten looking as I do. I need someone to take me out and cook me, or I'll really end up in a royal stew. I am a laka, I am a laka, and I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. I am a laka, I am a laka, and I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. Every holiday has food so special. I'd like to have some same attention too. I do not want to spend life in this blender, wondering what I'm supposed to do. Matzah and harosot are for Pesach, chopped liver and challah for Shabbat. Minces and shavuot are delicious, and gefilte fish, no holidays without. I am a laka, I am a laka, and I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. I am a laka, I am a laka, and I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. It's important that I have an understanding of what it is that I'm supposed to do. You see, there are many who are homeless, with no jobs, no clothes, and very little food. It's so important that we all remember that while we have most of the things we need, we must remember those who have so little. We must help them, we must be the ones to feed. I am a laka, I am a laka, and I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. I am a laka, I am a laka, and I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. I am a laka, I am a laka, and I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. I am a laka, I